Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, Mercury, Shazam! Shazam explained. If you don't know it already, Shazam is an acronym for the mythical and legendary figures Shazam draws his powers from. These are Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury. Whenever the boy Billy Batson yells Shazam, he transforms into a being powerful enough to take on the Man of Steel. First up in our series is Solomon. It is said that Shazam has the wisdom of Solomon, and that this makes him smarter, wiser, and grants him godlike focus. Solomon was, according to several religious texts, a wealthy king of Israel, ruling the land some 3,000 years ago. And perhaps the most famous tale of his wisdom is one involving his judgment in a case where two women claimed to be the mother of the same child. The Wisdom of King Solomon. A long time ago, there was a house wherein two mothers and their two infant children lived. However, one of the babes had passed, and each of the mothers claimed the remaining child as their own. Unable to settle this matter between themselves, they took the case to King Solomon. Solomon observed both of the women before him, each claiming to be the child's mother, and after a time, the king requested a sword be brought before him. For you see, Solomon ruled that the only way to settle the matter was by carving up the child into two halves. This would provide each claimant in the case an equal share of the child, and thus should settle the matter. And with that, one of the women immediately relented her claim and begged Solomon not to hurt the child. And that, spectators of myth, was Solomon's plan all along. He knew that by exposing the child to harm, the real mother would reveal herself. And so, the child was returned in whole to her. This story became legend across the land, and is often cited as an example of Solomon's deep wisdom and intelligence. Indeed, the king is said to have been granted wisdom by the Almighty during a dream. Solomon is believed to have ruled Israel for 40 years, and under his dominion, the land is said to have prospered. Whenever Shazam accesses the wisdom of Solomon, he is granted superhuman knowledge and intuition. The wisdom also provides him with a native-level understanding of all languages. That, plus mastery of warfare stratagems, battle tactics, and hypnosis. And while all of this alone is indeed impressive and powerful, we've still got 5 of Shazam's mythical and legendary figures to go. Next up is H, and that, spectators of myth, stands for Hercules. The strength of Hercules. It is said that Shazam has the strength of Hercules, and that this gives him strength on par with the Greek demigod. Thanks to this, besides Superman and Wonder Woman, Shazam is probably one of the strongest and most overpowered heroes out there. And now, you're about to find out about why, as we venture into the tomes and back to the lands of ancient Greece once again. Legend has it that Hercules performed some of the greatest feats of strength known to myth, including a tangling with a certain three-headed beast. Capturing Cerberus, the legendary creature of Greek myth, was to be the last of the dozen Herculean labors. The son of Zeus was to snatch Cerberus from the underworld. There are various versions of this story, but most indicate that a battle was fought and Hercules was the victor. And that's no easy feat, spectators of myth. Cerberus was, after all, the Hound of Hades and guard dog of the underworld. However, all pale in comparison to Hercules' next deed. Atlas was the Titan condemned to support the cosmos, and Hercules, a half-mortal, once took his place. Legend has it, he needed Atlas to get him apples from his daughters in the Garden of Hera. In other words, he shouldered infinity as if it was nothing at all. Atlas and his tale is something we'll discuss more in the next video. Hercules is perhaps most famous for tackling the multi-headed demon snake monster, the Hydra. Sever one of its heads and two take its place. This was the second of his 12 labors. Legend has it, he bested the monster in combat with the help of his nephew Iolaus. As Hercules tore through the beast's many heads, Iolaus would cauterize each cut so no new heads would grow. As a side note, Marvel's evil organization Hydra is named after this beast. The idea being here that for every one of their agents that is eliminated, another two take their place. But back to Hercules. Legend has it that Hercules was once tasked with cleaning up the Augean stables as one of his 12 labors. The problem was that these stables had not been cleaned in over 30 years, and the immortal cattle within them were consistently producing excrement. However, Hercules did not want to clean up all of that manually, so the son of Zeus is said to have rerouted a river or two in the direction of the stables to wash out all the cattle's dung. How very practical. Whenever Shazam uses the strength of Hercules, he is granted the same power as the Greek legend we have just described. In the comics, this strength has let him match Superman in battle, and even push a moon. Next up is A, and that stands for Atlas. Stamina of Atlas. It is said that the Titan provides Shazam with endless endurance, or more simply, limitless fuel for all of his magical abilities. But to understand Atlas, we must once again travel to the distant past and visit the myths of ancient Greece once more. The Titan Atlas was punished by the gods on Mount Olympus for his part in the war against them. The king of the gods, Zeus, sentenced him to forever hold up the cosmos and all that existed. And so, it seemed, the Titan would support everything forever. And while the Titan was able to fulfill this task, he was also to be tormented by a vile beast known as the Hesperian dragon. Legend has it that this multi-headed dragon guarded the apples of the Hesperides, as well as vexing Atlas. And even with that, the Titan held the cosmos steady. That was until an encounter with Hercules, the son of Zeus. In one version of this tale, it is said that Hercules helped Atlas by defeating the Hesperian dragon in battle, and then went on to help the Titan too. Indeed, spectators of myth, Hercules helped the Titan that his father punished. According to legend, Hercules used his might to carve two great pillars on which to support the cosmos. He presented them before Atlas, and the Titan placed the cosmos upon them. And because of that, Atlas was set free. Whenever Shazam accesses the stamina of Atlas, he acquires limitless energy, meaning that he does not fatigue. From interstellar space travel to battling the super powerful beings, Shazam never tires. He also has no need for rest or oxygen when using the form. And for those of you who do not know, this is because the character is rooted in the realms of mysticism and magic, not the world of science fiction like Superman is. Next up is Z, and that, spectators of myth, stands for Zeus. The power of Zeus. Indeed, spectators of myth, it is Zeus's thunderbolt that transforms Billy Batson into the superhero formerly known as Captain Marvel. The power of Zeus also further enhances his invulnerability, his strength, and magical abilities, and it can also be used for healing on the rare occasion that he does take damage. Combined with the speed of Mercury, he once used the power of Zeus to knock Superman out cold. That's a feat only a few heroes can manage, and they're all godlike beings, much like Zeus himself. You see, Zeus had performed many incredible feats that none in his pantheon could match. And a word of warning, spectators of myth, not all of these feats were to the betterment of us mortals. When the god of the sky and thunder rose to power, he overthrew his maniacal father, the Titan Kronos. Zeus accomplished this following a 10-year war with the Titans, called the Titanomachy, and imprisoned Kronos in the underworld. This is a tale that we have discussed at length elsewhere. You can find more of that in the cards you see on your screen now. But Zeus wasn't done yet. No, spectators of myth. Soon, a beast was let loose upon Mount Olympus, and like a rabid dog, he had destroyed everything in its wake. This was the Typhon, perhaps the strongest of all mythical Greek creatures. Both gods and men fell against it. All but one remained. The overlord Zeus, and he, spectators of myth, was mad. Zeus showed the Typhon no mercy. He battled the beast to a standstill, and with a throw of his mighty thunderbolt, the battle was won. But to ensure the monster stayed kaput, Zeus set a mountain upon it. That, some say, was Mount Etna, and that this is where the Typhon still lays to this day. If Zeus had not acted as humanity's defender on that day, it is said that Typhon would have become the ruler of the cosmos. Zeus, however, had a temper, and could also act as a destroyer. Legend has it that Zeus bemoaned what the world of men had become. So the god of thunder set a cataclysm upon humanity and destroyed the world. Few survived it, including the son of Prometheus and his wife. It is said that they built an ark to make it through. And despite all of this, the power of Zeus only counts for 1/6 of Shazam's magical power sources. Indeed, spectators of myth. Next up is the letter A for the second time, and that stands for Achilles. The courage of Achilles. Achilles was born the son of an immortal woman and a mortal king. However, it was foretold that he would die young. So his mother took him down to the river Styx, the border between the realm of the living and the realm of the dead, and soaked him in its magical waters. However, she only bathed her son up to his left heel, and that, spectators of myth, was a most grave mistake. Achilles, the legendary hero of the Trojan War, was seemingly unbeatable. No warrior could match his courage, valor, or might, and all who drew steel before him met their doom. Indeed, spectators of myth, Achilles sent legions of Greece's most fearsome warriors to the gates of Hades. But despite his many great victories, not even the indomitable Achilles could postpone his date with destiny. And that, spectators of myth, came not long after what was to be perhaps his greatest of feats. During the Trojan War, Achilles came face to face with Troy's leader and strongest warrior, Hector. The two fought and clashed swords, but unfortunately for the Trojan, he also proved no match for Achilles, and, just like that, Prince Hector of Troy was no more. Yet, with his dying breath, he said Achilles would soon meet his own end. Achilles refused to give the Trojans back Hector's body. However, after a time, he did, and agreed to a 9-day truce whereby no fighting would take place during Hector's funeral. However, that time came and went, and just as Hector and destiny foretold, Achilles would soon meet his end. Prince Paris of Troy struck the warrior with an arrow directed at his left heel. This was the one part of him not impervious to harm, and with that, Achilles, the legendary warrior, was gone. Next up in Shazam Explained is the letter M. And that stands for Mercury. And this Roman god provides our hero with the ability to fly, as well as speed that matches that of Superman's. Both can move at a rate well beyond the speed of light. It is this final ability that cements Shazam's place as one of the most powerful characters in all of comicdom. Indeed, whenever Shazam uses the speed of Mercury, the momentum generated by it further augments his limitless Herculean strength and other godly abilities. And while the speed of Mercury is an impressive addition to this power set, the Mercury of legend was far more than an ancient mythical speedster, and now you're about to find out why. The Legend of Mercury. While he was made famous for his speed and ability to fly, Mercury was a very important god in Roman times for so much more. It is said that he was the god of games, commerce, travel, thievery, and communication. Indeed, ancient merchants and traders used to pray to Mercury for success. The planet Mercury was named after the Roman god, as all planets in our solar system are. It is in fact the closest celestial body to our Sun. This planet was named Mercury because, in the most simplest of terms, it too moves swiftly through the sky, like the Roman god of old. But Mercury had one critical role that kept the very essence of life moving forward. This is because, in addition to everything else that he did, Mercury helped to guide the souls of the dead to the underworld. This fundamental duty, spectators of myth, was an important part of the ancient Romans' mythical life cycle. This god was widely worshipped across all of ancient Europa and beyond. In ancient Egypt, his counterpart was Anubis. In Greece, he was known as Hermes. And believe it or not, some even considered Mercury to be the Nordic Allfather himself. Yes, spectators of myth, some believed Mercury was Odin. So there you have it, spectators of myth. With the final letter M, this has been Shazam Explained. Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, Mercury. Shazam!